everybody, and welcome back to my page. It is time for a movie review with me, Nina Soden, the redheaded author. I was so excited when I got a viewer request to review The Shining. It is one of my all-time favorite horror films, and with the new release of Dr. Sleep, this came at a perfect time. All right, The Shining was released in 1980, directed by Stanley Kubrick, as well as the writing of the screenplay was by Stanley Kubrick. Of course, it is based on the novel The Shining by Stephen King. In this one, we have Jack Nicholson starring as Jack Torrance. We have Shelley Duvall starring as Wendy Torrance, and Danny Lloyd starring as Danny, Jack and Wendy's son. This is, of course, horror and drama, maybe even a little thriller. The runtime is 146 minutes, so not very long. It is a fast-paced, completely full of action, full of stuff going on the entire time, keep you on the edge of your seat. All right, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Writing, stories, cinematography, characters, acting, all of it amazing. It was ahead of its time. 1980 was a long time ago. This movie propelled horror to a completely new level. All right, here's the storyline. Jack Torrance, a writer and former teacher, signs a contract to spend the winter with his family, taking care of an old hotel with a violent past. Secluded in the Colorado mountains for 5 months, Jack, who is recently sober, slowly gets more violent and angry. His son, Danny, tries to use a special talent, The Shining, to inform the people outside about what is going on in the hotel. Dun dun dun! All right. If you haven't seen The Shining, which you probably already have since, okay, again, released in 1980, it's been long enough. You should have seen it by now. But if you haven't, there may be some spoilers in this one, but come on. Go see the movie. All right, so my 2 cents on this one. The Shining has always been, and probably will always be, one of my favorite horror films. It is perfect in just about every way. When The Shining was first released in 1980, it received mixed reviews from people in the business, from viewers, from directors, from people that just went to review. People didn't know what to think about this film. They didn't know what to make of it. The fact that it was nominated for a Razzie Award, or a Raspberry Award, which honors the worst in cinematic underachievements. Really? That just blows my mind. I don't understand it. In my opinion, this film is pretty much perfect. Much like Citizen Kane or Schindler's List. I can't think of anything that is wrong with this film unless we want to go into talking about the fact that it does deviate from the book pretty drastically. But if you look at it as a film, as just a film, as a standalone entity, it's pretty perfect. Sure, it is, it's metaphorical in a way that most films weren't back then, especially horror films. And it leaves the audience wondering, what did I just see? What was that? But I gotta ask, what is wrong with that? Why not leave the audience questioning, right? All right, so for writing and story, again, 5 stars. I loved the novel. It was one of the first books that I ever read that truly terrified me. And the film, although, like I said, very different from Stephen King's novel, the film had the same effect with me. Okay, I have read that Stephen King hated the movie. And I recently read the following quote of Stephen King, which kind of surprised me, but this is what he said. "The book is hot and the movie is cold. The book ends in fire and the movie in ice. In the book, there's an actual arc where you see this guy, Jack Torrance, trying to be good. And little by little, he moves over to this place where he's crazy. And as far as I was concerned, when I saw the movie, Jack was crazy from the first scene. I had to keep my mouth shut at the time. It was a screening and Nicholson was there. But I'm thinking to myself, the minute he's on the screen, oh, I know this guy. I've seen him in 5 motorcycle movies where Jack Nicholson played the same part. And it's so misogynistic. I mean, Wendy Torrance is just presented as this sort of screaming dish rag. But that's just me. That's the way I am. Okay, so that was Stephen King talking about The Shining, the film. Yeah, okay, I get that Jack Nicholson seems crazy right from the get-go. Sure. I get that there are some major differences in the book. Sure. I get that there's more of a character arc in the book than there is in the film. But again, I want to look at the film as a standalone entity. In my opinion, yes, the book and the film are very different. However, just because I love the book doesn't mean I can't appreciate the movie for what it is. I can't appreciate the entertainment and the fear that it drives in me. The Shining is a classic horror film. At its core, that is what it is, and will, until I die, send chills up and down my spine and nightmares into my sleeping mind. So I have to give it props. I loved this film. All right, for cinematography, 5 stars. This film has some of the best cinematography I have ever seen. And to say that about a horror film, that's pretty amazing, right? I mean, most horror films just focus on the jump out at you scares, especially nowadays. They focus on those types of things, the blood, the gore, and it is less about the filmmaking. It's less about the visual aspects of the film. The opening scene in The Shining is just stunning. The view is breathtaking. And here's a little fun fact. So, although the inspiration for the Overlook Hotel came from Colorado's Stanley Hotel, Kubrick actually used an Oregon hotel called the Timberline Lodge. He used that for all of the exterior visuals in the movie, but then all of the interior scenes were shot in England. Fun little fact. All right, so the entire film, from the opening scene to the closing credits, just visually draws you in. It sucks you into this world and it leaves you on the edge of your seat and just fills you with fear and anticipation for every little moment because you never know what's happening. And again, I think part of that is because Jack Nicholson plays him a little bit crazy the whole way through. So yes, Stephen King is right in that aspect. You do see something is off with his character right from the beginning. You're not like slowly brought into it. I mean, you are. He's a little crazy and then he gets really crazy. But I think because there's that little something there that you can't quite put your finger on right from the beginning, it leaves you going, okay, wait, what is happening? What is going to happen? All right, for characters and acting, I gave this one 5 stars, and I really want to talk about the 3 main characters in this. So Jack Nicholson is absolutely brilliant. He is fantastic in this film. Now, when you first watch him, he is oddly and even uncomfortably comical, and this isn't a comedy, so that is a little offsetting and it's a little disturbing. He is so lighthearted, and in some of the scenes that are especially terrifying, that lightheartedness comes across as insane. However, as you watch that insanity build. As you watch it settle in and really take hold of him, you realize that it's a really great performance. His over-the-topness is really, really awesome. And one of the scariest scenes, at least for me, is when Jack is stalking his wife up the stairs and he is telling her with this big smile on his face, this forced, gritty, big teeth smile. He says, "Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt ya. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt ya. I'm just gonna bash your brains in." Okay, okay, creepy. Yeah, not gonna hurt me, just gonna bash my brains in. The way he says it in that, that Jack Nicholson voice, and I am not even gonna attempt to do it, but just sends chills through my spine and just terrifies me. I think I heard that in my nightmares as a kid when I watched this film, and again last night after I finished watching this film again. All right, Shelley Duvall. She appears to be on the edge of devastation and fear and depression throughout the entire film. Now, I have heard that Stanley Kubrick did not treat her all that well on set. He was said to have done it because he wanted to get this devastating performance from her, wanted to elicit true fear. Although I don't agree with those methods, as an actress, I don't agree with those methods. I have to admit that it worked. If that's what he was going for, it worked, because watching her, you truly believe that she is afraid, that she is devastated, that she is depressed, and just completely lost in every way. She appears to be a battered wife, an abused wife. And if that's what he was going for, it worked. All right, Danny Lloyd. Wow. Okay, he was a child actor back then, obviously is not still a child, but he was amazing. And in my opinion, he gives us one of the all-time best child performances in a horror film. He was fantastic. He is a natural on screen and completely believable. All right, I find it hard to believe that his film career pretty much started and ended with this film. However, I was excited to find out that he does make an appearance in Dr. Sleep. Although not as Danny, he only comes back as a small role as a spectator. I do like the fact that he is going to be in the film, which that's very fun for me. I can't wait to see it. I have not yet, but my opinions will be displayed right here on this channel as soon as I have seen the film. All right, fun fact. There is a photograph at the end of the film that shows Jack Torrance, or Jack Nicholson's character, smiling in a crowd of people at the 1921 July 4th ball there at the Overlook Hotel. So this brief glimpse into the past gives the audience, well, this question. Okay, it sets you on edge because it makes you wonder. It makes you question reality. It makes you wonder, was he there the whole time? Has he been there before? What is going on? And it's never explained in the film, which, oh my gosh, give us answers. It just leaves you on that right at the end. So when asked what the photograph means, Stanley Kubrick said, "The ballroom photograph at the very end suggests the reincarnation of Jack." Okay, so that would mean what? That Jack Torrance is the reincarnation of a guest or someone on the staff at the Overlook in 1921. Intriguing, right? That's it. That's just putting that out there. The reincarnation from a previous guest or staff member. Interesting, right? Okay, so I do have two favorite quotes in this one, and the first one is, "Some places are like people. Some shine and some don't." I love it. I love it, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave that one to you, and you can watch and look for that in the film. The second one is this: "I like you, Lloyd. I always liked you. You were always the best of them. Best goddamn bartender from Timbuktu to Portland, Maine. Or Portland, Oregon, for that matter." Okay, now why do I like this quote? So I like this quote because it makes me wonder, I always liked you? Is he referring to the fact that he knew him before, that he was at the hotel before? This goes back to that whole picture at the end of the film. Is this kind of like trying to show us that during the film and then give us a glimpse at the end when we see the picture? And then the mention of Portland, Oregon, I just think that that's cool because the exterior film shots of the hotel were in Oregon. So I think that's kind of neat that he would mention that, even though this film takes place in Colorado. Just food for thought. What do you think that quote means? And do you think it means anything? Or is it just an interesting quote from the film? All right, this film is a terrifying glimpse into the declining mental state of a man on the edge. It's a horror film where the lead character, a drunk on the wagon, is an abusive husband and father. Sure, it is an extreme case. It is a very extreme situation, but the fact that this type of thing can and has happened makes it all that much more disturbing and terrifying and nightmare-inducing. So this movie came out in 1980, so you've probably already seen it, but if not, if you haven't yet, I highly recommend it, especially if you plan on seeing Dr. Sleep in the theaters. Watch The Shining first, then go see Dr. Sleep while it is still in the theaters and while it's all fresh in your mind, because I have heard that the new movie is a really good follow-up to the Shining movie. And it also, what I heard is that Dr. Sleep pulls some of the things from The Shining, the book, that didn't make it into the movie, into Dr. Sleep to tie both the book together and the movie together. So check that out. Have you seen The Shining? If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I want your opinion. If you have another book you'd like me to review, or you have another movie you'd like me to review, comment that too, and I will get right on that. All right, that is Movie Reviews with me, Nina Soden, the redheaded author. Please, 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 if you like this video, click like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. All right, everybody, until next time, enjoy the movies.